not even enrolled in pre-primary education. All evidence points to the fact that COVID-19 will dramatically further exacerbate the whole issue. In this context, it becomes highly contentious to determine what these countries have to prioritize. Should they, for instance, prioritize digital-based learning and the heavy funding this requires in lieu of investing on foundational learning? Excellencies, we know that it will be very hard for some countries at this particular conjuncture place a high premium on value-based education. But we have to start somewhere. Some countries go by defining a happiness index. Others insist on the fact that schools are no more to be judged merely on the academic performance of learners, but on the well-being of learners. And this is what matters most. Nonetheless, I believe that it is a crucial responsibility for all education systems to ensure the inculcation of sound values for the moral pickup in society. Let me conclude by bringing back to the center of the table what Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights states. Education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality. Unquote. I strongly believe that one fundamental challenge facing our education systems today is to develop the psychosocial competence, personal skills to help learners make careful decisions, communicate effectively, develop coping skills with the environment. Besides the COVID-19 pandemic, the fast-moving global conditions prevailing today require individuals to mold themselves into becoming resilient. However, before we can speak of building mental resilience in our learner, there are some universal concerns that need to be addressed and addressed globally. Firstly, how effective are our programs at inculcating civic-mindedness and social responsibility in our learners? How effectively can we facilitate them moving away from self-centeredness, their shunning the temptation of placing self-interest above the community interest? These are cardinal to the growth of a social consciousness. Two, how do we overcome the impacts, often devastating, occasioned by school closures on our learners? Three, how do we increase the capital positivity in our students as well as in our educators and slash the negativity that today's challenging conditions seem to encourage? I believe part of the answer is to fall back on what we encourage in education and what should, in fact, be a way of life in the new normal, namely networking and connecting with our fellow beings and demonstrating greater empathy with and for them. And we need this bonding, this exposure to new perspectives for a genuine resilience that is collective in nature. Happiness and wellness need to be redefined as qualities that would form the bedrock of citizenship in a context that demands collective solidarity. I thank you, and over to you, Madam Facilitator.
Thank you so much, Honorable Vice Prime Minister. That was wonderful. And what really resonated was the fact that you said shifting back, going back to systems that have been age-old and have worked before, going back to our traditional ways of learning and teaching and education that can inculcate a strong mind in our younger generation. That was wonderful. And also you talked about connecting, networking, bonding, and teaching children, a holistic values-based education. That is so important. Thank you once again for your wonderful address. Now I invite the Honorable Defense Minister, Mrs. Krishna Mauthiere, to address us. She has stood for transparency, for participation, for responsibility, and today we would it is wonderful to have you with us, and we'd like to hear from you now. Over to you. You'll have to unmute yourself, madam.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Excellencies, honorable speakers, distinguished participants. My warm greetings and best wishes from Paramaribo, Suriname, to all speakers and attendees of this conference. I also express my sincere appreciation to the World Forum for Ethics in Business and the Art of Living Foundation for hosting this conference on the occasion of World Health Day. It is truly an honor and privilege for me to be invited to participate in this important conference to share my thoughts on an even more important and contemporary topic, how we as global community can recover from the devastating impact the COVID pandemic has. How can we be better prepared for the future? This brings me to the topic of my speech, the role of mental resilience in governance, and how can we empower women to cope with the COVID-19 pandemic. It is without a doubt that every person directly or indirectly has been affected by the coronavirus. It is affecting societies and economies in so many ways. In my country, Suriname, we are dealing with 3 crises at the same time. One is the COVID crisis. Second is a huge financial crisis characterized by an inflation of almost 50%. And the third is a lack of trust in politicians due to high levels of corruption in the recent past. Nevertheless, I strongly believe that we as a nation will overcome this situation with a strong willpower and dedication. I'm grateful to be appointed as Minister of Defense and to have the opportunity to contributing to peace and security in Suriname and helping assure the well-being of our people. History shows us that having success and happiness is not the result of the absence of problems, but it is due to the tremendous potential, the ability, and intelligence to cope with the most difficult and life-threatening situation. It is overcoming problems. A strong mind is the most indispensable in the beginning of the journey in which the will to change, a strong desire along with the right direction, dedication and discipline are essential parts. Without a sound mind, no vision will ever materialize. The history of mankind is filled with great strong minds of men and women who have proven that even without many resources, they were able to impact greatly and shape the world we live in today. The founder, Sri Sri Gurudev Sri Sri, is a living example of a leader who has impacted tens of thousands and connecting people through all levels of society and bringing leaders together to achieve astounding results, breaking barriers of diversity and connecting people. His mission of a stress-free and violence-free society is carried out by sharing knowledge, teaching skills, breathing techniques, and promoting an attitude of sharing, caring, and spreading love. Today, COVID-19 has affected every country in more ways than we could have anticipated. I want to emphasize that it is important to recognize that COVID goes far beyond just a health issue. The social and economic implications are so immense that we are speaking of the new normal. None of us had expected this change a year ago, but this change has announced itself through an enemy invisible to the bare eye. I believe that we have to address the following for the future. The following 4 major challenges for the future. Dealing with change in so many areas that it increases levels of stress and will impact the health of a lot of people. Dealing with social isolation. We are social beings, not used to live isolated, and now we are expected to stay home and avoid social gatherings. This is a total shift. 3, redefining the importance of values, such as individual freedom versus restrictions for general interest, keeping businesses open or closed, public health versus economic benefits. We face dilemmas, difficult and hard choices for government leaders. Principles of good governance such as transparency, accountability, and participation are all under pressure. There is also a declining trust of the public in government leaders. And the fourth challenge is the increasing poverty and inequality. The inclusion of minority groups require appropriate measures to ensure that everyone is taken care of. All these four major challenges require mental resilience at every level of the society, but even more in governance. Strong leadership showing high levels of integrity, fairness, and openness can lead the community through hard and tough times. A strong mind is inherently part of this kind of leadership. Leadership that accepts responsibility and hold themselves accountable. A mindset that is calm, able to absorb, rearrange, translate, and produce specific solutions to demanding situations. Leaders who recognizes the importance of mental resilience. I have served 38 years in law enforcement, fulfilling several leadership positions, including that of police commissioner. Based on this experience, I acknowledge the importance of remaining calm in the most chaotic situations, the importance of avoiding panic. Mental strength is part of all training programs of police and military courses. And I think that it should be part of the education program of every government. A strong mindset is also found to be characteristic of every successful person. Individuals with a strong focus and with the ability to keep moving forward, aware of their strengths and weaknesses, but focused on the goal. They understand that struggle will be part of the road, but success is also evident when we are determined and willing to work towards it. Referencing the WHO, Dr. Friedlich's report on mental health of 2009, where she wrote, mental health is fundamental element of resilience, health assets, capabilities, and positive adaptation that enable people to cope, to flourish, and to experience good health and social outcomes. Improving mental health brings significant benefits for health and quality of life for individuals and for communities. Therefore, governments should implement policies and programs to support positive mental health for the whole population. Even in this COVID pandemic, where daily people are dealing with changes, isolation, and tremendous stress, the importance of mental resilience is ignored. This has to be changed. Mental resilience must have the highest priority within all government policies. Leaders and institutions with high doses of mental resilience will influence and consequently win the trust of citizens. Government's responsiveness and ability to deliver and address the needs of the people will contribute to building this trust. A strong, resilient mind provides the opportunity to build the competence needed to have the actions of our leaders speaks louder than words. And now the question, what can we do as society, as women leaders, for women facing huge challenges in the COVID pandemic? Is it possible to stay calm, be happy, and successful even in this pandemic? I believe the answer is yes, because mental toughness, emphasizing and honing strengths, and fostering strong relationships are core. I even dare to say, natural competencies of women. Even with the impact of COVID-19, women of all walks of life showed strength by adjusting their usual or natural way of living, by being more creative and more aware. They care for children at home because schools are closed. Many of us combine this with a job while juggling and sometimes also coping with the stress of everything that comes with a household and a career while still maintaining our calmness. And even as incomes decreases, fewer job opportunities are available, and supply and storage of food and basic essentials become challenging due to the lockdowns and closure of business, I witness how women with resilient minds allow themselves to rise above the situation and to even lend a helping hand to others. As a member of the Art of Living in Suriname, it has been a blessing to have been part of various training and community service activities in my own country and abroad, where I had the privilege to work with women and men from all walks of life. Every one of those experiences has contributed to setting the foundation for my awareness of self, my environment, and the soundness of my own mindset. This was a journey of many years, and I can speak from personal experience of the valuable impact the Art of Living Network has had on my life and way of thinking and way of dealing with crisis, both personal and in role of governance. Being part of Women's Network, where Women Empower Women, has been an important contributor to my success, and it is therefore that I want to leave you with an encouragement to remain part of and enhance your social cohesion. The contradiction is that while COVID asks us to socially distance ourselves, there is also the greater need in these times to nurture relationship and to continue to empower and support other women. Therefore, I leave you with this. Let's start the process of rethinking and redefining social distancing with physical distancing today. Maintaining our physical distance will contribute to protection of our health, and I encourage you to keep doing that. But that doesn't mean we can't redefine how we fulfill our social need, or we can't start with identifying ways to meet it. Our era has given us various digital means through which we can further build and harness from the networks that we as people, we as women need. And of course, learn and make ourselves competent. Let us once more make the world witness the resilience of the female mind and show that we women can adapt, that we can create, that we can collaborate, and that we can set a new way of success, even in times of crisis, when we decide to put our minds to it. Having a strong mind connected with other strong minds is the tool we should master and internalize for the new era. We belong to each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. That was wonderful. How even in this time of COVID and this time of isolation, we have been able to connect to so many people all over the world today is an example of how technology can help us to connect. So yes, social isolation is important to protect our health, but it is important for us to keep connecting like this via technology. And also how you highlighted that leadership needs to accept responsibility, be transparent, to be able to respond to situations, and also how you spoke about the role of women in nurturing relationships, nurturing, balancing family as well as professional duties. So thank you so much for your address. It was wonderful. And now it is my honor and it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Vandana Shiva, who has been with us many times before in many occasions to address us. And I'd like to quote from one of her talks, where she says, "Food is health. Health is continuum, from soil to plants, to the food we eat, to our gut. Machines break down, but living systems regenerate and heal." So over to you, Vandana ji, and looking forward to your address.
Thank you, Chinky. And dear Bhanudi, Your Excellency, it's such a pleasure to be on this panel with women with strong minds and strong hearts and strong resilience. Over my journey through life, beginning as a physicist, as a quantum physicist, and spending the last 5 decades in service of the earth and service of community, I have learned a few lessons about the cultivation of the strong mind. I think the first lesson really is interconnectedness and non-separation. Your Excellency, the Defense Minister of Suriname, talked about not interpreting physical distance as social distance. Now, this becomes very difficult if you think of the world in a mechanistic way, made of things that are totally separate and they're immutable and they don't change and they're inert, and it's only violence and force that can move them. But in the quantum world, action at a distance takes place, because in the quantum world, the world is interconnected through potential, through energy. And as Guruji constantly points out, spandana, the vibrations, are the foundational reality of life, not material, immutable things and facts. So we are in a very, very beautiful universe, a very, very beautiful earth. And our interconnectedness with life on earth and our consciousness is, for me, a very important cultivation for a strong mind. But it also, by its very nature, becomes a spiritual mind. And this is what Guruji teaches through the art of living. There's another very strong element of quantum theory, and that is uncertainty. Because the mechanistic, deterministic paradigm created a world of deep predictability and certainty, but the world is not. And especially in periods of the kind we are living through, uncertainty is the nature of things. And the Deputy Prime Minister said very beautifully, experience of overcoming problems, that is strength. This is resilience. And because the world is not mechanical, we can't afford to have a mechanical mind, even though that's been the education from the West, sadly, the Cartesian and Baconian thinking, the Newtonian thinking. What we need is a diversity of the mind, an ecological mind. Because a rigid mind is a brittle mind. It breaks down. As Chinky said, machines break down. Living systems, conscious beings evolve, adapt, respond, and change their reality. Because we are in an interconnected world and nothing is separate, what we eat is not separate from our food, our health, and our being. Again, if you look at old textbooks of health, the brain was here, and then there was the body. But the gut is our second brain. And there's a brilliant book written by a colleague of mine, and we have a book called Annam, Food as Health. And I wish all of you wonderful International Health Day. The book called Mind Gut says, for decades, the mechanistic, militaristic disease model set the agenda for medical research. As long as you could fix the affected mechanical part, we thought the problem would be solved. There was no need to understand its ultimate cause. We are just beginning to realize that the gut, the microbes living in it, 100 trillion of them, constitute one of the major components of these regulatory systems and the signaling molecules that they produce from their vast number of genes. And Guruji has done so much to promote the knowledge of Ayurveda. And Ayurveda has also always said, diversity of food is vital for a strong body and a strong mind. Because as we say, as our grandmothers used to say, Jaisa anna vaisa man. And if your anna is rotten and junk, you're going to have a very junky and a very weak mind. And Imran Maya carries on and says, the multitude, they're now waking up to the fact that our spices have so much phytochemicals, and a diet derived from a rich a rich diet in diverse plants, combined with the array of perfectly matching sensory mechanisms in our gut, synchronizes our internal ecosystem, our gut microbiome. We have intelligent sensors in our gut. It's a more complex computer system, as is the soil. And our research in Navdanya, the movement I started with the simple act of saving seeds, has shown that the soil is more neurological activity than the World Wide Web, that one root of one plant has more neurological activity than the brain up here. And of course, our gut is called the second brain. We are so fortunate that we have such a rich tradition, and not a tradition that's not based in science, it's just based in a different science, a holistic science, a system science, a science of interconnectedness. Whereas the mechanistic science that is dominating and is creating the fear in people's minds is of broken down, fragmented, reductionist systems. And the last time I was on a webinar and with Guruji, it was so beautiful because he talked about the multiple sheets, that in India, we're not isolated bodies, disconnected with the world. We are multiple sheets, the Annamaya Kosh, where food and interacts, and the Pranamaya, the energy, the Manomaya, all our senses, our 5 knowing senses, which Descartes said are totally unreliable. My God, if I don't know from my smell that something's stinking, I'm going to eat bad food. If I can't hear from my ears bad sounds, I will not know the difference between noise and music. The senses are knowing systems in our epistemology. And then the Vijnanamaya Kosh, the ability to not just have knowledge, the ability to discriminate, the ability to know truth from untruth. And I think this, again, is so important in our times. And I know the Art of Living movement can play a very, very big role in this. Because while we are all facing the pandemic, we are also facing a preparation of a world which is reducing this deep context of a strong mind to 2 worries. The first, that our human data is being mined, our brain data and our body data. And this is the subject of much debate, that we are being turned into the new raw material. And then this is taken and processed through algorithm. And you will see suddenly in the last year or 2, the idea of behavior modification is everywhere. Now, I'm having to deal with one of the richest men in the world who is saying the only future to save the planet is fake food made in labs. But if food is making us and our mind, fake food is going to not just accelerate chronic diseases, it's going to accelerate the planetary collapse. My work in agriculture, and I've been compelled, it wasn't my chosen field, but I've written about 20 books on the subject. All of the recent epidemics, including the current pandemic, ultimately are from the forests. 300 of them, Ebola, HIV, Zika, SARS, H1N1, the Nipah virus, all of them. You invade into the forests and you unleash these new epidemics. It comes from a particular model which doesn't know when enough is enough. It comes from a model of an economy based on greed, limitless taking from the earth. And that is why another aspect of the strong mind is to know when enough is enough, to know that you should only take what is absolutely necessary. And that's why, again, our teachings of enoughness, of simplicity, of detachment. The Ishopanishad is so beautiful in saying, this universe is for all, enjoy its gifts, but don't take more than your share. Enjoy the gifts without greed. And this, therefore, is the time to, in the midst of this pandemic, to think about economies beyond greed, where economies where the 1% is not controlling the entire planet. I have a book called Oneness versus the 1% on this issue. And this, of course, also means that we use our rich wisdom to address the narrow trajectory that has brought us to this precipice. I've just done a book with an Ayurvedic physician, Dr. Gangadharan in Bangalore, because of 3 patterns. You know, a lot of my life is spent on understanding the world by seeing where the patterns are going. And our patents, you know, our neem was patented, our basmati was patented, our wheat was patented. And I said, no, but these are not your inventions. And we fought this and we reclaimed this heritage. But this new little book is The Two Futures of Food, Health and Humanity, a civilizational dialogue linked to patents, real ideas of where to take us, and our brilliance of our ecological civilization. I'll give you just one example. We have huge anemia. We have a lot of iron deficiency because we're killing the green plants, the amaranth, the batwa. We are not eating our full diversity of the diet. One of the patterns is put nanoparticles, 10 to the power minus 9, into our bloodstream. And every scientist tells you, you cannot assess the impact of nanoparticles that break through every protective barrier. So our civilization is being called on to address the future and shape it for the well-being of the entire planet, to shape it for the well-being of future generations, and to create a strong mind that is able to think of how we can reduce our ecological footprint, live better, increase our head print, our heart print through compassion and love, and our handprint through redefining categories that were evolved in the fossil fuel age of the fewer people there are, but the bigger fossil fuel you use, you have agriculture with 10 units of energy producing 1 unit of food. It's a negative economy when ecologically we can use 1 unit to produce 10 units of food. So the hand, head, and handprint is what our civilization is based on. It's a good time to not give up what we have. It's a good time to not allow wisdom to be replaced by data. It's been called a new religion called dataism. What we need is a deep spirituality that cultivates a strong mind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vandana ji. That was really so inspiring and so wonderful to hear you. And thank you so much for reminding us once again how our traditions, our scriptures can be the roadmap to the future, can be the way forward for us to come out of this pandemic in a healthy and in a more, with a stronger mind. Thank you so much. And also you talked about Ayurveda, the importance of Ayurveda, the importance of Spandana, the vibrations, that we are all connected, our universe is connected, what we think, what we feel can impact all the people around us. So thank you so much, Vandana ji, for your wonderful thoughts on this particular subject. So all of you have shared with us the different ways forward. The Vice Prime Minister said that how we should have holistic education, a values-based education, children not to be taught by rote learning, for them to understand more. And the Defense Minister shared with us how processes have to be in place, how so many the Art of Living programs have done so much in Suriname for the community, for the society, and also how Bhanu Didi shared that how we need to pay attention to our mind with spiritual practices. And of course, how Vandana ji, you shared how the food we eat impacts our mind, impacts our, that the gut is our second brain and that we need to pay attention to it. But all these ideas and all these wonderful collective intentions that we have all shared today, when they are complemented with practical tools, then we can integrate it into our life better. And what other better way is there? Through meditation, through silence, through that calm and very balanced mind, can these these intentions that we have all come forward with can be sown. The seeds of those intentions can be sown. So I will now request Bhanu Didi to lead us into a meditation where all your collective intentions can manifest. Please, Didi, over to you.
Thank you so much. After such wonderful, knowledge session, it is nice to be taking it in through silence by meditating. It was so wonderful, Vandana ji. Once again, we thank you so much. Again and again, you come and enlighten us and give us so much strength. How we have to depend on our roots, isn't it? It's so important to be proud of our roots, and wisdom is our necessary and not the dataism. That was very nice. and all the excellencies, and it's so wonderful to be with all of you. Let's meditate now for 10 minutes. Yeah, let's sit comfortably and easily. Spine erect, shoulders loose, neck loose, and the whole body relaxed. Smile on your face, eyes closed. Let's take normal deep breath in and breathe out. Relax your whole body. Keep breathing normal, deep, gentle breath. Your incoming breath energizes the body, and your outgoing breath relaxes the body. Breathe in with a smile and breathe out with a smile. Once again, breathe in, and as you breathe out, relax your whole body. Relax your shoulders, relax your neck, relax your face, and relax your whole body. Become aware of the noises around you, if any, and accept all the noises. Be with it. Once again, breathe in and breathe out. Relax your whole body. Become aware of your body. This body is a beautiful gift to you from nature, from divine. Honor your own body. Once again, breathe in. And as you breathe out, relax your body more and more. Become aware of your thoughts. Good thoughts, bad thoughts. Let it be. Once again, breathe in and breathe out. Become aware of your feelings. Pleasant, unpleasant. Let it be. You're much more bigger than your thoughts and feelings. Once again, breathe in and breathe out. Relax more and more. You are peace. You are joy. Om Shanti. 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 Take a deep breath in and breathe out. Once again, breathe in And breathe out. Become aware of your body and surroundings. Once again, breathe in. And as you breathe out, very slowly and gradually, take your own time. Very slowly and gradually, you may open your eyes with a smile. Thank you.
We have to thank you, Banu Didi, for this wonderful experience and showing us the practical way of reaching into ourselves, into the silence and the depth of our being through meditation. So thank you so much, Banu Didi. So we have come to the end of our session here. Before that, I would like to thank our distinguished speakers for being with us and enlightening us and sharing with us about the way forward and how we can move out of this crisis with hope and enthusiasm. And also a common thread that went through all of your talks was how we can go back. We can go back to our tradition, go back to the knowledge of our ancient scriptures to give us the strength of mind to move forward. So it was really wonderful to be with you and be a part of this panel today. And we hope we can connect in the future for other forums and other conferences. I thank all our distinguished speakers. I thank all those who have joined from all over the world to be a part of this conversation. Thank you so much for being with us and participating. I thank the World Forum for Ethics in Business, the team, the organizing committee, and all their members for giving us this opportunity. Thank you so much. Namaste.